So this week we've been talking about solving equations, and we have practiced solving equations. And another part of our standard that the state says we need to learn is how to write those equations from real life problems and how to solve equations from real life problems. And many of you have asked me, like, when will I use this in real life? And I told you, you use it all the time, you just don't think about it as algebra. So here are a few examples of how you will use it in real life and how you can write that out as an equation. So the first one says, Layla tells Julius to pick a number between 1 and 10. Add 3 to your number and multiply the sum by 5, she tells him. Next, she says, now take that number and subtract 7 from it and tell me the new number. 23, Julius exclaims. So this is telling us to write an expression that records the operations that Julius uses. So she tells him to pick a number. So the number here, we don't know what the number is. So what's one of our vocabulary words that we've been talking about of an unknown number? What do you think that would be? I'm going to go ahead and highlight the things we might need. So we're picking a number. We don't know what that number is. So we could represent this as n. Then it says to add 3 to your number. We'll do it in a different color. And then multiply the sum by 5. Next, she says, take that number and subtract 7. So you're going to take that number and subtract 7. So his new number is equal to 23. Let's see. I don't think I used this color. Okay, so here's all the things we need to know. We see that we have a number between 1 and 10, and we're going to add 3 to that number and then multiply that times the sum. Multiply the sum by 5. So if we have a number and we add 3 to it, that would be a number. We're going to use n to represent that number, and then it says to add 3. Okay, so we have n plus 3. I'm going to move this over. Okay, so we have n plus 3. That's our number, and we added 3. And then it says to multiply the sum. So the sum of n plus 3. So if we wanted to add that together first, we need to put parentheses around it because we want to multiply the sum of n plus 3 times 5. Oops. Let me erase that. So this says to multiply 5 times the sum of n plus 3. Then she says to take that number and subtract 7. So whatever this is equal to, we're going to subtract 7. Now, we can find what that is equal to. So this says 5 times the sum of n plus 3, and then we're subtracting 7. And he says his new number is 23. So it's equal to 23. So we had a number, which was blue. So we'll make it blue. And then it says add 3, which is this purple part. Then it says to multiply the sum by 5, which was this green part. Then it says subtract 7, which is this part. We're going to subtract 7. We also need to move this 7 over because it's not attached to the parentheses. So we'll move it over 1. And then his new number is equal to 23, which is this purple. Okay, so I just wanted to highlight that, how it looks in the problem, so you can see how it looks. So this 5 times the product of n plus 3 minus 7 is equal to 23. We can work that. So we would distribute the 5, and that would give us 5n plus, no, I don't want to go down, go back up, plus 5 times 3 is 15. And then we would keep the minus 7 is equal to 23. Then we would combine our 15 and negative 7 because they're like terms, and that would leave us with 5n plus 8 is equal to 23. Then we would subtract 8 from both sides, and we would get 5n is equal to 15. Then we would divide both sides by 5, and we would get n is equal to 3. So Julius's original number was 3. So if we go back up here and we put that in, we would say that if n is 3, then 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 times 5 is 30. And 30 minus 7 is equal to 23. So our answer is correct. Now I want you to look down here. It says in the next round, Leila is supposed to pick a number between 1 and 10 and follow the same instructions. She gives her final result as 108. Julius immediately replies, "Hey, you cheated." What might he mean by that? So I want you to use this same equation, 5 times parentheses n plus 3 parentheses minus 7 and put equals 108 and work that out and tell me why you think that he thinks she cheated. Pause the video and do that now. 5 times n plus 3 minus 7 equals 108. So go ahead and pause the video right now and try to work that out. Okay, I hope you're back. So you would have distributed the 5 and you would have gotten 5n plus 15 minus 7 equals 108. Then you would have combined and you would have gotten 5n plus 8 equals 108. Then you would have subtracted 8 from both sides. Let me see if I can move this up. And you would have gotten 5n is equal to 100. Then when you divided both sides by 5, you would have gotten let me make this smaller. You would have gotten that n equals 20. So if n equals 20, why would Julius think that Leila cheated? if you guessed, because in the original up here it says to pick a number between 1 and 10. Did she pick a number between 1 and 10? No, she picked 20, so her number was too big. So that is why Julia said, hey, you cheated, because she picked a number that was not between 1 and 10. Let's try another one. So this one says, I'm going to go ahead and move it up so we make sure we have plenty of room. This one says a group of friends pay $5 each to play a round of golf. They also pay $12 to rent a golf cart. Their total cost was $32. Write an equation to help you determine how many friends went. Okay, so we have a group of friends. We don't know how many there are, but we know that they pay $5 each. So what do you think our variable would be here? That's right. It should be, we'll use F for friends. We don't know how many friends went. So we have friends here, and I'm going to highlight those in this blue color. That's going to be our variable. They each pay $5 each to play a round of golf. So we'll make that this purple color. They also pay $12 to rent a golf cart. So they're paying $12 to rent a golf cart. So we know how much that was. And we know what their total cost was. Their total cost was $32. So ask yourself, what am I looking for? It says to write an equation to help you determine how many friends went. So we don't know how many friends went. We do know that they paid $5 each. So we could say 5 times F for friends. They each paid $5. And we know that they paid $12 to rent a golf cart. So that's going to be plus 12. And we know that their total cost was $32. So this would be our equation. They paid $5 each. Each friend, F, paid $5 each. They all paid $12 to rent a golf cart. That's a constant number. It's not going to change. And we know that their total was $32. So we would just solve this like normal. First, we would subtract 12 from both sides, and that would give us 5F is equal to 20. Then we would divide both sides by 5, and we would get F is equal to 4. So what does that F represent? It represents how many friends went. So 4 friends went. Okay, let me move this one up too. Okay, it says you buy 3 books that are equal in price. You also buy a game that is $10. Your total is $34. Write an equation to determine the cost of each book. So we're looking for how much each book was. So that is our variable. B, we can use B for book. So we know we bought 3 books. And they are equal in price. We also know we bought a game. And our game was $10. And we know that our total is 34. So write an equation to determine the cost of the book. So I want you to pause the video right now and try to write the equation. Remember, we're going to use B to represent books. Okay, so I hope you wrote 3B. And we see that we bought a game, so that would be plus 10. And we see that our total was $34. So I hope you wrote 3b plus 10 equals 34. Now that looks just like the equations we've been solving. So first we would subtract 10 from both sides, and we would get 3b is equal to 24. Then we would divide both sides by 3, and we would get b is equal to 8. So this tells me that each book cost $8. So we bought 3 books for $8. That equaled $24 plus $10 for a game, and our total was $34. Let's try another one. Sometimes you'll see them written like this, where it says translate 8 less than half of a number is equal to 10 into an equation. So we know that there is 8 less. So what do you think 8 less means? That's right. Less means subtract. It says 8 less than half of a number. So our number could be any number. So this is our variable, and we know that it's half of that variable. So it would be a variable over 2. And we know that it is equal to 10. So we know that's the part that goes on the other side of the equal sign. So if we did 8 less than half of a number we could write, if we use the variable x divided by 2, and it's 8 less, so it's minus 8 equals 10. So this is x over 2 minus 8 equals 10. So the first thing we would do is add 8 to both sides, and that would give us x over 2 is equal to 18. Then we know that right now x is being divided by 2, so we would need to multiply both sides by 2. And that would leave us with x is equal to 36. So 8 less than half of a number is equal to 10. Then we know that our x is 36. So 36 divided by 2 would be 18. 18 minus 8 is equal to 10. So we know that our answer is correct. Okay, let's look at this one. Let me move it up so we make sure we have plenty of room. That's not what I meant to do. Okay, it says Miss Jane is stocking the concession stand. She buys several cases, C, of candy for $10 each. So that means they want you to use the variable C for candy. She buys $165 worth of drinks. She spends a total of $325. Write an equation to solve how many cases of candy she bought. I want you to pause right now and try to write the equation. Remember, we're just now learning. This is our first day of doing this. So it's okay if you're wrong. I just want you to try. Okay, so it says she buys several cases of candy, which is C. In each case, she buys cases of candy. So that is our variable. We know that they are $10 each. So each case is $10 each, but we don't know how many cases we bought. She also buys $165 worth of drinks. So that's going to be an added constant number because it's not changing. We know how many drinks she bought. And it says she spends a total of $325. So that means that goes on the other side of our equal sign. Okay, so let's see. It says she buys several cases of candy, and C is going to represent candy, and they're $10 each. So we know that they're $10 each, but we don't know how many cases. So we're going to write that as 10C. 10C. Then she buys $165 worth of drinks. So we know that however many cases of candy she bought, she also buys $165 worth of drinks. And we know that she spends a total of $325. So we have to write an equation to solve how many cases of candy she bought. So the first thing we're going to do is subtract 165 from both sides, and that will leave us with 10C is equal to, I have to write it down, 325 minus 165 is equal to 60. No, 160. Then we're going to divide both sides by 10. And that will leave us with C is equal to 16. So she bought 16 cases of candy. So 16 times 10 would be 160. And 160 plus 165 is equal to 325. So we know that our answer is correct. Okay, here's another one. Translate 4 less, remember less means subtract, then 3/4 a number equals 47 into an equation. So let's highlight what we need first. I don't know where my highlighter went. Let me find it. I have no idea why my highlighter just went away. Anyway, we know that we would need 4 less than 3/4 a number. So pause it and try to figure out the equation. Okay, so 4 less than 3/4 a number. So we know what 3/4 is. There it is. It came back. I must have been just clicked in the wrong place. Okay, so we need 4 less than 3/4 a number. So we know 3/4 a number is going to be part of our variable. 3/4 of a number. And we know 4 less means to subtract from that. And we see our equals 47. So 3/4 of a number, we would write that like this. 3/4, oops. 3/4 of a number, and let's use n for our number. 4 less than that would be minus 4, and it's equal to 47. So the first thing we would do would be add 4 to both sides. So 47 plus 4 would be 51. So that would leave us with 3/4 n is equal to 51. Then we know that we need to get rid of that 3/4. So we're going to flip it and multiply both sides, which is going to leave us with n is equal to 51 times 4 is 204 divided by 3. And 204 divided by 3 is 68. Let me make sure that's right. Yes, n equals 68. Okay, we're going to try one more, and then I'm going to show you how to work on the IXL. IXL has one of its, I think it's S3. I wrote it down. Let me find where I wrote it down. S7. S7 has some where you can write the equations from what's given. Okay, so this says Kiefer gathers half of the money he had saved up, plus the $25 his pop gave him to buy a new Nintendo Switch game. The game he bought was $75. Write an equation to find out how much money Kiefer had saved up. So, first of all, we need to figure out how we're going to write this equation. So we have half of the money he had saved. So we don't know how much money he had saved, but we know he had half of it. And then it says plus the $25 his pop gave him. And the game he bought was $75. So we know the total, or the equal to. Okay, so I want you to pause the video and try to write the equation, and then restart it and see if you're correct. So we would write this as 1/2. Let's use m for our variable this time. Plus 25 is equal to 75. So the first thing we would do is subtract 25 from both sides, and that would leave us with 1/2 m is equal to 50. Then we need to get rid of this half. So right now m is being multiplied times 1/2. So in order to divide both sides by a fraction, we flip it and multiply. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2, and we will get m is equal to 100. So Kiefer had originally saved $100. He added $25. That half of that was 50. So he added $25 to that, and he bought a game for $75. Okay, let's go over to IXL and see how this is going to work. So you're going to go to IXL to practice this, and this is S2 in 7th grade, S2, and I'll go star it so you'll see it when you log in. Okay, so it's going to give you things like this. Write a sentence as an equation. The sum of 87 and n is the same as 328. So you're going to write 87, and you know sum means that you're adding, plus n equals 328. Make sure that you leave it touching, and make sure that you write it with an equal sign and a total. So the sum of 87 and n, so that's 87 plus n, is the same or is equal to 328. Okay, this one says 88 equals 69 reduced by m. I know that reduce means less than, and less than means subtract. So this one says 88 equals 69 reduced by m minus m. 308 is the same as 159 multiplied by c. So 308, the same as means equal to 159 times c. And remember, when we're dealing with variables, we just put it right next to it. So this says 159 times C. So they don't want you to put an X in there. They want you to put 159C. The quotient of Z and 281 is 51. So the quotient means division. So they want you to write it in the same, and I want you to notice right here it says to use a slash if you want a division sign. So the quotient of Z and 281 equals 51. So the quotient always means you're dividing. W added to 71 is the same as 167. So W plus 71 is equal to 167. Okay. G is equal to the product of 155 and G. So the product of 155 and G is equal to G. So let's write it like this. G equals 155 G. Okay, remember to type it out. Don't put any spaces and make sure that you're putting it in the order that it needs to be. Okay, so y'all do a great job on that. I hope you do well with it. I understand it's your first day. Remember, the good thing about IXL is it tells you how to get the right answer. So make sure if you miss it that you read maybe what you did wrong and compare and figure out what you can do to change that. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.